Let's get down to business to defeat the Huns.
Oh, it's that girl I see staring straight back at me.
Hey y'all, it's Jerome, so welcome back to my channel. Very excited. It's the week, well yes, the next week's Halloween. But the week of Halloween we're doing a special Disney Princess episode of Makeup Mythology Monday. Finally one that's not just astrology, one that's not about signs, one that's going to be fun, but a fun story from your childhood. So if you don't know me, my name's Cielo, or DC for short, and I do a segment called Makeup Mythology Monday. Every Monday I tell you a story from your childhood and where it came from while doing makeup and my hair and such. So if that's right up your alley, make sure you like this video, comment below, share with your friends, and subscribe.
Anyways, we're gonna just dive right in. I'm gonna go in the voiceover and prep my face because all I've got done my lips so far. I usually plump them and prime them before we do anything. I didn't get lips naturally, so I make them. And let's begin. The tale of Mulan comes to us from the wonderful country of China. Ni hao ma, wo hen hao. This is a little Mandarin that I know. Mandarin is the main language of the country, but each city has its own language. For example, Cantonese is the main main language of Hong Kong, even though Hong Kong is not necessarily like a city. Anyways, China's part of East Asia, is the largest of all Asian countries and has a large population of any country in the world. The majority of Chinese people consider themselves Han. Ancient China was one of the oldest and largest long and lasting civilizations in the history of the world. The history of China can be traced back to over 4,000 years. China had become a vast empire. The rulers were called emperors, who came from powerful lines called dynasties. The first was Shang and the last was Qing, that lasted over 2,000 years. Wow. Go China. Oh my god, twinsies. So the version of Mulan that I'm most familiar with is the 1998 film adaptation done by Disney. And I'm just going to do a quick little summary just to jog your memory. During some undetermined year, we are at the Great Wall of China. And suddenly, the Han army pops up the wall and starts climbing everywhere and attacking the wall. And then homeboy at the wall, he lights the fire among the towers of the wall, and he's like, "Now all of China knows you're here." Haha, perfect. Then we go to the emperor, and he's like, "Yo, Shan Yu." Army men tell the emperor, "Hey, this Shan Yu kid, the Huns have invaded the northern border of China. What are we gonna do, emperor?" You feel me? That's your job. Tell us, what are we gonna do, emperor? And the emperor's like, "Well, yeah, go tell the man to enlist. We gotta get this army cracking so we can defeat the Huns." Now, cut to our girl Mulan, who is preparing to meet the matchmaker, so she knows, learns how to become a good feminine trad wife, basically, but Chinese trad wife, which is trad wife's pretty similar across the world, I think. It's just all similar, patriarchy. Take care of your man, take care of the kids. Naturally, I'm like, that sounds like it sucks. It's Mulan feels too. But the meeting does go left, and the matchmaker ends up with her ass on fire, literally. And she's all mad at Mulan. She's like, "You may look like a bride, but you will never bring your family honor." And then they're all sad. They're like, "Oh my gosh, Mulan fell with the matchmaker today. Oh my gosh, how will our family receive honor? All girls can do is get married. That's all they can do for honor." Panic is happening. Panic is ensuing, okay? Everyone's still sad about Mulan failing the trial wife test, but the emperor's little bitch guy comes by and he's yelling all the every man from each family must enlist. And then Fazu tries to enlist. And they're like, bro, like, you can't enlist, like, you're older than Jesus. Like, you're gonna die out there. You can't. He was talking about the cane. My guy. I don't mean to be ableist, but, like, for the few times we have to be ableist in life, like, they're gonna... When I remember, too, the Huns are pretty taken prisoners, so, like, if they find you, like, they're killing you. Like, you're gonna die out there. And he's like, he's always all, like, he's all stoic. He's definitely a Taurus, man. He's like, well, I'll die with honor. I know my place. Now it's time that you learn yours. And everyone's all sad and shit. You know, typical stuff. Parents and kids disagreeing on how to handle a problem. Average. I guess the only thing where we get kind of unaverage is where, like, Mulan takes all his stuff and pretends to be him and enlists as him, as his son. I didn't know you had a son. You can see why the boy's an absolute lunatic. You know, at first it was rough. You know, our girl, you know, was not trained for this. You know, but like the real boss bitch that she is, Milan persevered, and she eventually was like beasting through our activities and beating everybody else while hiding her lady parts. They didn't even know. Wow, there's some melons and a muffin under there, huh? They had no idea. Because that's how good she is. Hashtag Asian excellence. But then everything changes and she's called to war. And of course, you know, she kills it, saves everyone from the war. But they figure out, oh my gosh, it's a woman. Like, okay, and my guy, and what about it? I was just cool with y'all with my coochie that you didn't know about. Hitting coochie all day. According to the law, Captain Shang is supposed to behead her, but he doesn't. He's like, a life for a life. Now my debt is repaid. And they all leave Mulan, her horse, there. Oh, and Moochie too, they leave him there. He's here this whole time. And they're like, oh, okay, let's go home. Then they see in the snow that the Huns start popping back up, and they're like, psych, we can't go home. Everyone in China will die if we go home.
You touch me like this and hold me like that. I was gone with the wind, but it's all coming back to me now.
Now, in a world where I have sought my heart and what I believe in, but somehow I will show the world what's inside my heart and be loved for who I am. Oh! So of course Mulan pulls up to the Emperor's palace and she's like, you guys, the Huns are here. Few of them survive. They're coming to get the Emperor. They're still on some bullshit. And the guys are like, okay, we're not listening to you though because you're a woman. Just like men, always stubborn and always trying to blame shit on shit that don't matter. Like, I don't listen to you because you're a girl again. And my eyes work. These hands work. They've seen these hands work. These feet work for sure. Time is racing toward us. But of course, the Huns had pulled a Trojan horse and they was hiding underneath that dang dragon. So they come over here and they just start ransacking the whole freaking palace, my guy. Like, just all up in there. Just get on the guards. You know. My man's they just all up through there. It's like they come with a kind of an unconventional way to attack this army. Mulan, the soldiers just with concubines and defeat the army, Huns. Mulan finds Shan Yu. They have a big epic battle and blasts him off the roof. China is won, and it is now safe for more imperialism, because this is an empire, like, technically. So basically, Mulan, the woman, saves China. Yeah, China, you're welcome. You are welcome. And she comes home with honor and a sword. Then later, Shang pulls up. Mr. Shang pulls up looking fine AF, and he's like, let's go get some lunch, dinner, something like that. Like, he wants to take her on a date. Like, ooh, my girl won the war and won a man. We didn't care about the men that first though, but like it's like a nice side consolation. It was cool winning the war. That was fine. And that's the end. And they live happily ever after. There is a Milan 2, but I think it didn't do as well in the box in the theater as the original Milan did. I mean, because that one Milan had like the most bumpiness soundtrack. Christina Aguilera, 98 Degrees, Stevie Wonder on that bitch. Like, Stevie Wonder, he's alive, but he's just a legend. I'm just letting you know, he's a legend. That's not quite exactly how the original story goes. The original story of Hua Mulan comes to us from China. It was originally a poem called the Ballad of Mulan, and Hua Mulan was believed to be based on a woman who lived in Imperial China. They believe that she lived during the Northern Wei dynasty. China's history, a big defining characteristic of this period of Chinese history is that they were trying to unite all the people as like Han Chinese. That's what caused friction with the Huns, who were a nomadic people from what is now Mongolia. They weren't Han. They were like, okay, like, you gotta leave us alone because we're trying to, like, you know, us Han people here. I believe too, still to this day, China is 90% Han, and people believe that if you're Han, you have like a line in your pinky toe. That's what they say. I'm not Han, so I'm not sure, but if you're Han and you're in China, let me know. So I have met some Chinese people, and I'm active pay attention. Many historians say that they rumored that it's believed that Shan Yu from the Mulan movie is based off of Attila the Hun, which does make sense. Guy was insane. Attila the Hun was also known as the Scourge of God for all the crazy insanity, the ruthlessness of his, like, vendetta against any enemy he made. They went up through Europe and Asia and Central Asia. If there was some more going on, it was probably the Huns back in that time. Okay, the Huns. The war in the Bout of Mulan is supposedly based on a true event that happened. Historians say in 1429 CE, the North Wei Emperor had led the Chinese army into a battle with the Huns. In 1429, the Emperor of the Northern Wei dynasty led the army to fight against a Hun state called Huron. And here, you guys, is the Ballad of Mulan. Enjoy. Tisk tisk, and again tisk tisk. Mulan leaves facing the door. You don't hear the shuttle sound. You only hear daughter sighs. They ask daughter who's in her heart. They ask daughter who's in her mind. No one is on daughter's heart. No one is in daughter's mind. Last night I saw the draft posters. The Khan is calling many troops. The army is listed in 12 scrolls. On every scroll there's a father's name. Father has no grown-up son. One has no older brother. I want to buy a saddle and a horse, and I serve in the army in my father's place. In the east market she buys a spirited horse. In the west market she buys a saddle. In the south market she buys a bridle. In the north market she buys a long whip. At dawn she takes leave of her father and mother. The evening has the yellow banks, the river's bank. She doesn't hear the sound of father and mother calling. She only hears the yellow river's flowing water cry. Tis, tis. At dawn she takes leave of the yellow river. In the evening, she arrives at Black Mountain. She doesn't hear the sound of father and mother calling. She only hears Mountain's nomad horses cry, shoo, shoo. She goes 10,000 miles on the business of war. She crosses passes and mountains like flying. Northern gusts carry on the rattle of army pots. Chilly night shines on iron armor. Generals die in 100 battles. Stout soldiers return after 10 years. On her return, she sees the Son of Heaven. The Son of Heaven sits on the splendid hall. He gives out promotions in 12 ranks and in prizes of 100,000 or more. The Khan asks her if she desires. Mulan has no use for minister's posts. I wish to ride a swift mount and take me back to my home. When father and mother hear daughter is coming, they go outside the wall to meet her. Leaning on each other. When elder sister hears younger sister is coming, she fixes her rouge, facing the door. When little brother hears elder sister is coming, he whets the knife, quick, quick, for pig and sheep. Open the door to my east chamber. I sit on my couch in the west room. I take off my war gown and put on my old-time clothes. Facing the window, she fixes her cloud-like hair, hanging up a mirror. She dabs on her yellow powder flower. She goes out to the door and sees her comrades. Her comrades are all amazed and perplexed. Having been together for 12 years, they didn't know Mulan was a girl. The he-hare's feet go hop and skip, and the she's hare's eyes are muddled and fuddled. Two hares running side by side to the ground. How can they tell if I am he or she? And that is Ballad of Mulan. So beautiful. And if you want more information, I will link sources below with information about Mulan's hometown and ancient Chinese culture during the Northern Wei period dynasty from China Highlights. Now it's time to explore Mulan and queerness. Some people say that Mulan's story accidentally explores gender identity and sexual orientation, which I kind of agree now as an adult, saying it back. It's about a disempowered woman who becomes empowered by masculinity. It's about a young woman who doesn't fit into the rigid constructs of manhood or womanhood, and who instead must carve her own path. The pressure of being ladylike is really common across all cultures, but in China especially, the fear of not being good enough to be someone's wife or not being lady enough is extremely deep and intense. But by failing the matchmaker and rejecting society's set notions for us, we can become our true selves. Society's very, very limited ideals of men and women. No, we should all just be ourselves, our most authentic. Yes, the journey of self-acceptance and self-love is very different for queer people, and honestly really confusing, if I'm being honest. When Milan needed comfort, her father pointed to a closed bud on the tree and said, "Look, this one's late, but once it blooms, it'll be the most beautiful of all." And that's kind of how I feel like self-acceptance goes, and accepting all parts of your identity, especially having a non-straight identity for sure. Personally, Mulan is my favorite princess. This movie came out originally when I was like 5 years old in kindergarten. Didn't really know much about queerness when I first saw Mulan. Didn't really understand what any of that was. I talked about this in my coming out video. It's on my Patreon if you want to check it out. But I remember being so excited about being introduced to a new culture because I never knew anything about China before, and then also being introduced to the second princess of color in the Disney franchise. So first is Jasmine. Also, I love that there was a version of femininity that wasn't like damsel in distress and very delicate, because that's never, Mulan refused to be relegated to a woman's place, and Mulan refused to be relegated to a woman's place or second place to a man, which really makes her story so inspiring to so many young women that she really carved out her own path and she was able to succeed. She proved that girls can do whatever they put their mind to, and she proved that whatever boys can do, girls can do, and sometimes better. Well, that's going to be it for today's story of Fa Mulan, Hua Mulan. Make sure if you enjoyed this story, you enjoyed the tutorial, make sure to like this video, share with your friends, comment down below what you think is the most interesting part of Mulan's story, and make sure to subscribe to the channel. Help the girl out. The algorithm's out here. But thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye.
What beautiful blossoms we have this year. But look, this one's late. But I'll bet that when it blooms, it will be the most beautiful of all.